I kind of figured, seeing as I saw the historical ending to Yankee Stadium, that I wanted to go see the new Yankee Stadium, compare it while everything was fresh in my mind. So the very next year, I talked another friend into going to New York with me. So this time, Krissa came with me. And again, we drove down. This time, we didn't stop in Syracuse and any shady places. Krista definitely wouldn't let me stay in any shady places, but we still did the same thing that I did the year before, which is basically park in New Jersey and then just travel over to New York the next day. What we would do is stay at a motel, which was actually beautiful. It was just on the side of the river, so you looked out and you saw New York in its glory, and at nighttime it was spectacular. And then we would just cross the bridge in the morning, go over to the Bronx, park at Yankee Stadium, which was only $20 a day. So I got a cheaper place to stay and only paid $20 for the entire day to park. And Krissa is much, much better at using public transportation than I am. And she basically introduced me to New York subways. And basically, they're spectacular, and anywhere I would go after that, I basically would always look for a hotel on a subway line because it just makes life so much easier. And that's now a priority for me when I do my traveling trips, and it all came from Krissa. Going to New York 2 times within 2 years for the very first time with two different people gave two different experiences. Jason and me saw a bulk of different things, but we just went and saw them. We didn't need to necessarily go in and view everything. We just basically like, ooh, there's the Statue of Liberty. Nice, I've seen it, but we didn't have to go to it. Um, and there's also different things I never would have thought of going to. And Krista opened my eyes to some really nice things. Every time I go to New York now, I need to go to the M&M store. That again is a Krista influence. We went to see some art, some museums, stuff that I wouldn't have gone to without having someone that was interested in those things. And I'm very glad that I got to go see those things because they're not something that I would have put high on my list, but I got to see something that was really cool and really special. And having people with different interests in your life in general is spectacular instead of just having people around you that are 100% clone copies of you. It's really nice to see on a trip some of these things that you may have overlooked or didn't even know were there. Versus the first trip where I just kind of drove around Central Park, and I think we could drive into Central Park a little more than we can now. Um, we walked Central Park and saw different sites there. And we also went to see some pretty cool things. Like, I never would have thought of Toys R Us, which is not there anymore, as a cool place to go see, but it was a cool place to go see because they had massive Lego figures. They had all kinds of neat things. We also went to the store that had the walking piano that was from the movie Big, which every kid from my age loved the movie Big. And that was just cool to see the piano that you could walk on. And that was spectacular. And those are things I might have missed if it wasn't for a different perspective. And of course, still had to go to my baseball game, which was great. I enjoyed getting there. Again, I will admit I like the old Yankee Stadium a little better than the new Yankee Stadium. I had to go sit the first year in the bleacher creature section, which was supposed to be the violent part of the stadium, and it was fun. The next year, I had to go sit there again, and it was mild and kind of boring, to be honest with you. And just the history made old Yankee Stadium special. The new Yankee Stadium, yeah, it was new, but the old one was special. And I still enjoy getting to go to see it, and I'll definitely be back. And I should clarify, when I say I had to sit in a certain section, it's I had a desire to go sit in those sections because I wanted to see what it was like. You hear the stories about the fielders out in right field getting yelled and screamed at and all kinds of experiences. And I wanted to see what that was like. I will say I didn't really get a lot of people heckling me. And again, back in those days, Blue Jays fans just didn't travel the way they do now to baseball games. And I remember walking up to the stadium and I heard this little boy saying to his mom, "How come he's allowed to wear his Blue Jays stuff?" And his mom replying, "Because he's big." And I did get a chuckle out of that. That being said, I remember on the way also walking to one of the games. I don't remember if it's the first year or the second year. I was making it to the second and third game, and maybe the fourth game. I can't remember of the series. I didn't go to the whole series, so I missed the night game before I got there. And this guy started yelling and screaming at me, and he was just ripping into me. I think he was trying to show off to his girlfriend. And I just looked at him like 9-1. And that's because the Jays had beat the Yankees the night before 9-1. So every time I was getting heckled, I was just like 9-1. And the fans really didn't have a lot to say, but I enjoyed getting to have that retaliation, so to speak. That being said, I do have a better heckling story for a couple of years later, but I'll save that for my next trip. And that concludes my 2009 trip to New York with Krissa. But it wouldn't be my last trip to New York with Krissa, as in 2016, Krissa and Sid, two of my friends, would come back to New York City and I would see it again.